Hey guys, Omni here. So I got out of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness earlier today, and I want to give you guys my thoughts on the film. I do want to say, if you're one of those people that has watched all the trailers, all the TV spots, temper your expectations, because honestly, as far as reveals go, it doesn't really leave you a lot of headroom to touch that ceiling once you get into the film. I did see something before filming this earlier today that Kevin Feige feels like they had revealed a little too much in those TV spots. And for someone who hasn't even seen them, because I tried to avoid them like the plague, and even having muted everything on Twitter, unsubscribed from people on YouTube, still couldn't avoid some of these things that weren't leaks. They were just straight up in the TV spots. And I would have loved to have seen them just for real in the movie for the first time and not known they were coming. Even though we probably could have guessed some of them, still would have liked to have just been surprised by them in the film itself. So I would say, if you've seen all that, there's not that many surprises, and actually the movie is not that heavy in cameos or anything of the sort. So I feel like us as Marvel fans for sure do this a lot. We build something up in our head, and the anticipation, the expectation, the speculation. Temper your expectations going into this film. Overall, I enjoyed the film. I do have some gripes with it though. I don't know exactly right now where this stacks up in my overall Marvel rankings. Right now, I definitely can say it's definitely not in my top 5. It might be in my top 10, depending on how I'm feeling, but I did really have fun watching it. There's just some things about it that it didn't get to breathe. I do wish this film was a little bit longer, for sure. I think it's too short for the scope and scale that they were going for. But I still like what they did with it. Visually, it's stunning. Some of the CGI here and there could have definitely been better. I will also say that some of the action sequences that kind of involve more hand-to-hand elements rather than relying on the CGI or the mystic arts themselves do fall a little short. But overall, the spectacle, the imagery, the trippy nature of their journey through the multiverse is something that I think was a great pairing with Sam Raimi. If you're familiar with his films and his past works, you are going to feel him throughout this entire thing. At some times, it is a little bit of a negative because I do feel like his kind of hokey sensibilities that kind of come with that earlier 80s to early 2000s Sam Raimi feel he was kind of brought with him in a lot of those films kind of feel a little out of place at times here. But where it excels is in when things get trippy, when things dive into that horrific element of this this witchcraft, this sorcery, the darkness of the multiverse. He brings the thunder, man. There's some sequences in this that are really trippy, that are really haunting, and honestly, at some points, actually kind of terrifying. They push the limits of their rating, I'll say that too, while they don't ever really break any of the guidelines for the rating board or anything of the sort. There's a lot of implied brutality and some pretty messed up stuff in this film. I don't want to spoil anything, obviously. I'm not going to give any spoilers or anything of the sort for this, but yeah, it goes pretty hard. I will say I also miss Michael Giacchino's score here. I just felt lulled a little bit by Danny Elfman's score throughout the film. But like I said, I did enjoy some of the elements of this, and I think what this movie did really well was Wanda's journey, Wanda's story, picking up where we left off at the end of WandaVision and the trajectory that actually set her on and how it brings her head to head with Doctor Strange with her expertise and what's going on, especially after what he's more recently experienced. You know, picking up on everybody's through lines from the previous films and shows and all of that. I think they integrated that really well, and honestly, they did a lot of things that kind of surprised me with the direction they took that relationship. America Chavez, played by Xochitl Gomez, was also a treat, a great addition to the MCU, which I'm excited to see what they do with her in the future. Elizabeth Olsen is slaying it throughout this entire thing, and she is honestly the thing in this film that had me locked in place the entire time. I think she was the emotional core of this entire journey, and I really enjoyed it, especially just how the story kind of bubbles and escalates from the beginning to the very end of the movie. It's just intense. It's action packed. It's honestly, it doesn't stop. I wish we could live and breathe in some of the more emotional moments here and there. Like, I feel like this movie could have used an extra like 20, 30 minutes to kind of let us rest and let some of these things build more naturally. Benedict Wong and Benedict Cumberbatch, both a dynamic duo of Benedicts, come together in this film, and their banter, their back and forth throughout the entire thing was a lot of fun. I think Xochitl Gomez and Benedict Cumberbatch had some phenomenal chemistry throughout this, and I really liked the dynamic they kind of built as they went along on this journey. Rachel McAdams is back in a key role as well, and she integrated pretty nicely into the film. Though I do feel like the core emotional through line for Strange was probably one of the weaker elements for me throughout the film, and I just could not find myself getting attached to kind of what he was going through as a character throughout this journey. I definitely felt like Wanda and America Chavez kind of definitely held a lot of the core attention when it came to the emotional aspects of the film. While they were trying to further Steven a little bit, and while there is some growth and there is some maturation of his character in this film, there is an emotional through line that feels a little like I just couldn't get attached to it. I just couldn't vibe with it really at all, and they kept repeating it throughout the entire film, and I just never once got really on board with it. At the end of the day, I do feel like this didn't reach the heights that I kind of was expecting it to kind of dive into, especially with Kevin Feige being like, oh, it's going to blow Endgame out of the water. It's going to be crazier than Endgame. I gotta say, like, again, like I mentioned in the beginning, temper your expectations, because for me at least, I definitely didn't feel that. I definitely felt like this was kind of just another Doctor Strange movie with some familiar faces sprinkled throughout and some more escalated stakes, for sure. There's definitely some grander stakes, especially with the multiverse being involved, but I never felt those stakes throughout the film, if that makes any sense. But yeah, it's hard to talk about this movie without obviously going into spoilers. Remember, the weekend of, we don't do spoilers on our live chat, so I'll be kind of keeping an eye on that. But next weekend we'll be full bore and we can talk about the spoiler aspects, the story, the cameos, the reveals, the direction that it's going, the post-credit scenes. We'll talk about all that next Saturday on our live stream. But guys, what did you think of the film? Have you seen it yet? Share your thoughts down in the comments below. We'll carry on the conversation after the video. Feel free to join us in our Discord. We could talk about it there as well. Links to that and all my socials are down below. Follow me in each and every one of those. Before we go, I want to shout out our channel legends: Manny Sherritt, Ryan Karen, Jason Coleman, Philly Vane, Yori Corey Scott, Margaret Grace, Mary Bradley, Nate Prouty, and Melita. Thank you guys as always for your continued support and everybody who's been tuning in to the channel. But that's it for this one, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, everybody.